good to be here. I appreciate being here. But the question is, why am I here? Now, I didn't even bother to ask that question until I finally got here. What do you think of these clothes? Well, I didn't even have any clothes on until about 5 minutes ago. I simply waited until the last minute to decide what I was going to wear. Some would say I procrastinated. Well, that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is I waited until the very last moment to make my decision, because that way I'm older and therefore wiser. And I've been like this for some time now. For instance, I would have to write some papers for my university classes. So I would go into the class about 60 minutes early before the class started, and I would sit down and write the whole thing from beginning to end. After about 3 times, my teacher told me that this was a bad idea and I should spend more time working on my papers. So I told the teacher that in the exams, we're only given 60 minutes to write our entire paper, so really I was just preparing for my exams. Needless to say, I wasn't the teacher's favorite student. Like this one time, the teacher missed a class with no notice, and I called him out on it. So I asked for a discount on my tuition. He just laughed and said that's not going to happen. I really didn't care if the teacher was late or even missed one class. What was kind of a bummer was how much the classes costed, and then the books costed like a whole bunch on top of that. So when I got to my first university class, I wanted to be a good student and have all my necessary materials. But when I was in the bookstore, I noticed that the older editions of the same book was cheaper, so I messaged my professor and asked if it was alright to get the older one. But he insisted on me getting the newer edition because the material we were going to be covering was only in the newer editions. So I thought the class was going well, and as a way of being prepared for the exam, I would put sticky notes in the books of all the pages that we used. At the end of the year, I was shocked when I counted up all the sticky notes. And do you know how many sticky notes there was in the 552-page book at the end of the school year? 3. I was so shocked I had to count them again. 1, 2, 3. Count them up. 3 pages from a book that costed me $154.73. Yeah, that wasn't even the only book, for the recommendations for the class. There was 3 whole books for the class, and they were basically priced the same. So I thought to myself, isn't this what a library's for? No, of course not. I couldn't find these books in the school library anywhere. So after looking at these books that cost me 2 weeks of pay, I noticed something. Guess who the author of the books were? The books were written by the professor of the class. Now it's all starting to make sense. No wonder I couldn't find these books anywheres. Because the university is a big organization, it's a company, it's out to make some profits. Alright, so there I was, all finished the class, and I thought maybe I could sell the books back to the school bookstore, right? Yeah, I could definitely sell them back, but I could only sell them back for 10%. What? Seriously? That's it? Only 10%? So, out of curiosity, I looked at the used book section, and I found the exact same book. The price of the used book at the bookstore was being sold at 75% of the new price. Alright, so I buy a book for 100%, and then I sell it back to the bookstore for 10%, and then the same book is sold again for 75% the original price. So the bookstore is making lots of money off the students who are going to be looking at the exact same 3 pages that I looked at. Thanks everyone. Drive safe.